Welcome back to the Nothing to Something podcast. This is the podcast that was put together in an aid to support ordinary people in achieving extraordinary things. Now, guys, what we've done here is I've taken a lesson from my own struggles, my own journey so far, going from literally nothing to a little bit of something, and combined that with the conversations and communications from previous guests on the podcast, from successful people from all walks of life who've been through it, been through the struggles and achieved success. And we put all that together to give you guys takeaways, to give you things you can implement into your day-to-day life in order to make things as efficient as possible, but also as successful as possible going forward. If you've not already, then please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe for all the future content. Now, this week's episode is all about intermittent fasting. A lot of people have tried it. I'm one of them. Some have had great results. I'm one of them. Although, in my mind, a lot of people don't fully understand the protocol or the benefits or how to intermittent fast correctly. So what we're going to do here is we're going to run you through all of the above. Now, this is something that I've personally done on and off for over a decade, but I've now followed religiously, yes, religiously to a T, for probably the last couple of years, which it could be argued has contributed towards some massive success in terms of staying in shape. I believe it's played a big part in me holding my lean physique year round, having abs out year round, and also the mental well-being that comes with lack of stress. And I'll get into what I'm talking about there a little bit further into the podcast. But when you're someone who's like me, who goes out and gets after it, you're spinning plates on a day-to-day basis. I work 60 plus hours a week. I'm a father to two amazing girls. I'm a partner to an amazing fiance, soon to be wife. I'm a business owner. I am employed as well and self-employed. There's a hell of a lot going on. The last thing I need is added stress and strain trying to stay in peak shape and worrying about things that could be made more efficient. So that's going to come into play within this podcast. Now, when life gets hard, when you're chasing your dreams, as I've just said there, this protocol not only plays into the hands of those who are busy on a day-to-day basis, but in my opinion is more beneficial than following a standard around-the-clock eating routine that most people follow. It just makes things a lot easier, a lot more streamlined, and you can get the results you want down the line. So, a lot of content to get into. We're going to whiz through and give you the absolute basics, but everything you need to make this successful. So let's go. Let's start from the very beginning. So what is intermittent fasting? It's not a diet, but it is exactly what it says on the tin. It's periods of intermittent fasting or intermittent periods of consuming no calories versus periods of consuming all your allocated calories for that day. So there are a number of variations to this, some short, some long. The most common and the one I follow and have followed for some time now is the 16-8. So to elaborate, when I say the 16-8 intermittent fasting method, I mean I consume all of my calories for a day in an 8-hour window. For the other 16 hours out of that 24-hour window, without that day, I'm fasted. I don't eat anything at all, consume no calories within that time frame. Now, as we'll get into, there are an absolute array of benefits for this. So, yeah, let's get into it. We'll waste no time. Let's get straight into the benefits. Now, in terms of those benefits, firstly, we have the fact that my daily calories, which I'm going to know if I'm serious about getting in shape and staying in shape, I'm going to know roughly how much I need to eat on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to have a figure in my head. I'm going to have a target in my head if I'm serious about achieving my physical goals and staying in shape. Now, these calories, that number of calories is going to be consumed within a smaller window, which is essentially going to leave you less opportunity to overeat within the day. So for anyone who's ever tried any form of dieting, which I assume will be most people, we've all dieted and we get to that stage through the course of the day where we start to struggle. We get towards the end of the day, we're slipping into relaxation mode and sort of winding down. You just want to chill, you just want to relax and have a few snacks, watch a movie with the other half, you're chilling with the kids. Hey ho, you run out of calories, or you've got very limited calories left and you've really got to watch what you eat, and it does your head in. That's a big reason why a lot of people fall off the fad diets. Now, with intermittent fasting, as I've just said there, your full day's worth of calories, and you will know that number at least roughly, will be boxed into a smaller time period, essentially leaving you less opportunity to overeat or slip up during that day. Now, on the flip side to that, this protocol requires a degree of discipline. What doesn't? Anything in life worth having requires some degree of discipline, in my opinion. So when I say discipline, I'm alluding to the fact that once hungry, once you have been fasted for a prolonged period and you're coming close to your opportunity to refeed, your feeding window, a lot of people lacking willpower will binge. They'll just grab anything. They'll grab things that they think will be most satiating. They'll grab sugary snacks, processed foods, and they will binge because they've been fasted and they're feeling really hungry and they've got all these urges. Please, please do not do that. Bear it in mind that you're going to be in a hypersensitive state within the body within that period. So stick to your guns, be disciplined if you're going to do it, and let's do it properly. So that leads me further down the discipline route. Now, talking about discipline, anyone who's listened to me on a semi-regular basis at least will know that everything I am, everything I do, all the content I put out is all geared around self-discipline. I do things when I don't want to do them. I show up regardless. I harp on about it all the time. I'm like a broken record. I get it. But again, self-discipline comes into play here. If you can follow this protocol to a T, not eat when it's not time to eat, fast during your fasting window, in the long run, let me get it in there, it's only going to be beneficial to you. Then what that's going to do is that it's going to build mental resilience and fortitude. It's going to strengthen your will, strengthen your self-discipline, which is only going to transfer into other areas of your life. So stick to your guns, lay it out, understand your calories, what you can and can't eat, when you can and can't eat, and stick to it. So from there, we move into the physical benefits. So getting into the physical benefits of intermittent fasting, if followed properly, this can produce absolutely amazing fat loss results, all while preserving and even increasing muscle density and quality. And I can speak from example with this. I've seen the results myself. It can be massively beneficial also to skin, to hair, to overall health. And all of the above comes mainly due to the fact that it leaves your body in this hypersensitive state, which I've just alluded to a little bit earlier on, and ready to properly and efficiently uptake and distribute the nutrients you take in once you break your fast. So once you break your fast, once your window has closed, your body will be primed in its best state possible to take them nutrients on board and properly disperse them to the right places rather than just passing them, or the nutrients just go into waste because you're taking them in excess, because like a lot of people, they'll just eat round the clock. As soon as they get the slightest urge, they'll just eat. The Western world lends us into these diets where we've got these majorly processed diets where we eat whenever we feel like it. That's why most people are out of shape and there's a lot of illness within the world. When you fasted and you break fast, your body will utilize the nutrients properly. The physical benefits are further bolstered by your body being in a fasted state produces catecholamines. So catecholamines are produced within the body. We've talked about these actually in previous podcasts, and these are things like epinephrine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline. These will have you in an alert state, a hyper alert state where you're on the ball, you're alert as to what's going on. It's great for focus, great for getting things done, essentially. This state of alertness will essentially support you in training hard, support you in working hard, support you in smashing life in all aspects. So the production of these catecholamines from this fasted state, again, is only going to be beneficial. What this will also do will allow you to tap into fat stores while preserving muscle, as we just talked about to some degree there. So you're in this hyper alert state, imagine, when you fasted, you're getting things done, you are on the ball, whatever needs to get done, you can focus properly, you've got no brain fog, you are burning fat, metabolism's nice and fast at the same time. All these things are going in the right direction. It's all positive. I'm not seeing any downsides yet. Now, next up in the way of benefits, we have the mental benefits. Now, anyone who's ever had a busy morning at work, grafting, you're super active, you've got loads done, you're in meetings, whatever it may be. Now, you may have forgotten to eat, or your first meal is going to be pushed back. Now, what you'll find if you don't eat within your usual pattern or your eating window will be that you'll become a little bit irritable. But what will also happen is you become hyper alert, you'll be hyper focused, you'll be on the ball, you'll feel a little bit edgy, and you'll be alert. This is lending itself to the fact that your body's in a fasted state, and what your brain does is send your brain and body into survival mode, which might sound a little bit scary, but is actually a positive. Essentially, you're going to stop spinning so many plates and expanding your energy to all these different avenues which aren't your primary focus, your sole focus and your task at hand. When you do this, this is great because you can focus on the thing that's in front of you, the thing that needs to get done now. If you're somebody like myself who wakes up early in the morning each morning and spends the early part of the day getting after it in what I like to call a deep work state, working on my hardest tasks, it lends itself and benefits you during that period. There really is massive mental benefits alongside the physical, which we've just talked about. Next up, we've got arguably the biggest and most beneficial, and admittedly one that I didn't know about in terms of benefits. We've got cellular rejuvenation, also known as autophagy. Now, autophagy is a process by which your body breaks down and either gets rid of altogether or recycles damaged cells to build new, strong and properly functioning cells. Now, let's just think about that for a minute. I just said there I didn't know about it in the start, but when I heard about it and I read the literature on it, I'm thinking it sounds like a magic trick or it sounds like something out of a superhero movie. It really does. But it's true. It's true. Do your homework. Autophagy. Now, this process is the reason why some people will associate fasting with healing. This process is known to fight cancer, to fight heart disease, to fight neurodegeneration, to even fight aging. This is something that really is spectacular. Now, the caveat to this is that autophagy is thought to start later on within your fast. So it's thought to start somewhere within the 16 to 18 hour mark around your fast. So if you're fasting on an intermittent basis and doing a 16-8 on a day-to-day basis, then this will most likely kick in right towards the back end of your fast. Now, with that in mind, if you're fasting to spark autophagy specifically, then you're probably better off fasting for a little bit longer, which can be hard, by the way. Listen to your body, be smart, take plenty of water in just to make sure that hydration's on point if you are going to attempt a longer fast for the first time. It's not something you've done before. I personally like to do the 16-8 daily, which I feel gives me best of both worlds. It gives me convenience, it gives me that alertness factor, it gives me the body composition results at the front end, and then the start of the autophagy process, at least at the back end of the fast. And I also try to do a longer fast, which I'll usually do 36 or 48 hours once a month to really tap in to those benefits we've just talked about around autophagy and cellular rejuvenation. So if you're anything like me, by this stage, the cogs are turning, you're liking the sound of all these benefits. I was the same when I first read up on all this stuff. So where do we go from here? Well, it's advisable to head into your fast if you're being smart about it and you want to feel a little bit satiated and not have the cravings as early on, to start your fast with fiber. So the last meal you have before you start your fast should be high in fiber. That is, as I just said there, is going to stove off those cravings a little bit, keep you satiated for a little bit longer so that you do get into that period of being hungry, as you will feel when you start to fast, especially starting out and getting used to the process. It'll keep them cravings off for a little bit longer at least. From there, we'll get into the rules of fasting, and beyond the obvious fact that you do not consume calories whilst fasting or within your fasting window, the rest of it will sort of depend on the type of fast that you're taking on. So if someone's fasting altogether or doing a dry fast, they'll consume not even any water or black coffee, as I've just alluded to there, which is the protocol that I follow. If somebody's doing a liquid fast, then a liquid fast will lend itself to the fact that you'll have anything in liquid form, including stuff that consumes calories. I personally only consume water, H2O and black coffee. That way I know that I can be sure that I'm getting all the benefits we just talked about there. I am taking in the effects, including the body composition effects, tapping into fat stores for my energy rather than using the glucose stores that would be there if I was in a feeding window. The production of the ketones within the body, which is proven now to be a more efficient source of fuel for the brain than glucose. There's an array of benefits, but I personally choose to just have water and or black coffee within my fasted window. So next up, how long should you fast for? Now, as I've mentioned already, there are benefits to different lengths of fast, i.e. you get good body composition results from shorter fasts. You can get absolutely amazing autophagy or cellular rejuvenation benefits from doing longer fasts. Starting out, at least, I would suggest trying the 16-8. That's what I do. That is, in my opinion, manageable for people who are just starting out, but will also give you the best of both worlds, as we just talked about. Keep it simple. Follow the protocol laid out in this podcast. Remember that if you're fasting for 16 hours, if you start your fast in the evening before going to bed, and as I've just said there, after a meal which is high in fiber, which will curb your cravings, then you'll be sleeping for the next 6 to 8 hours anyway, which you won't be thinking about eating within that 6 to 8 hour period. And it's just the morning period then for which you'll actually be awake and you will not be consuming any calories. Now, during that morning period of fasting, a lot of people will be drinking coffee. Remember to keep the coffee black if you are going to do that and you want to fast officially and consume no calories. Now, if you can stomach black coffee like myself, that will not only give you a kick, that will also introduce what we call polyphenols, which fight against a number of diseases, look after skin, overall health benefits, and will further support in the effects of the catecholamines in your system, which again will curb your appetite, which will increase that alertness, the norepinephrine, the epinephrine, the things that we talked about earlier on and I've talked about in previous podcasts. All sorts of benefits going on if we can stick to this protocol, which can be, to some degree, especially once you've tried it out and you get the gist of it, reasonably simple. So now we've tried the fasting, we've carried out our desired period of fast, we've reaped the benefits, and we're ready to break our fast. So remember, at this stage, your body is in a hypersensitive state and ready to put to use whatever you consume next. It's just sitting there waiting to put to use whatever you consume next. With that in mind, play it smart. Don't rush off even with your cravings and consume loads of sugary or processed junk. Ideally, try to get in a meal that's balanced. Try to get in a meal that's nutrient dense. Try to get in a meal that will support your gut and overall digestive system health, as again, the body will be in a hypersensitive state and primed to use whatever you put into it and disperse it to the relevant parts of the body to carry out its duties. So be really, really smart when breaking your fast and be smart with what you're taking in. So next up, we move on to intermittent fasting and training. This was certainly one of the hot topics for me when I became interested in intermittent fasting and the ins and outs of it. It was a question on my mind. So starting out on my intermittent fasting journey, this was big on my mind, mainly because of the bro science, which has got a lot of us believing nowadays that we shouldn't train fasted because we'll lose all our gains. That's absolute nonsense. Let's remember that although this is a fasting protocol, it's not a diet. This won't produce the effects of a diet, i.e. weight loss or muscle atrophy, unless you gear it to do exactly that. If you want to lose weight, you can lose weight. If you want to gain, you could gain while doing intermittent fasting and getting all the other benefits. Now, if you're intermittent fasting and during your feeding window, you're in a calorie deficit, then of course you will lose weight. If you don't have enough protein in your diet and you're not lifting heavy while intermittent fasting, then of course you're leaving yourself at risk, at least, of losing some muscle or muscle atrophy. So bear these things in mind. Be smart. Gear your intermittent fast towards your specific goals, but rest assured that you can successfully intermittent fast and train hard within your fasting window. Now, I say that because I personally train hard. I train 7 days a week. Yes, no days off. I train 7 days a week and I consistently intermittent fast, but I'm also very smart with it. I'm aware of my body, I'm aware of the nutrients that I'm taking in, and I play it smart. So that's all you need to do. Understand yourself, listen to your body, keep a track of the gains that you're making or the fat loss progress that you're making. Listen to your body, play it smart. Now, after reading a hell of a lot of literature on intermittent fasting, I just want to outline the facts that there are not a hell of a lot of downside to this, and certainly no major downsides or obvious downsides to intermittent fasting. Upon reading said literature, though, it was outlined, and it would be remiss of me not to relay to you guys that it is good or beneficial to break your intermittent fasting protocol at least every fortnight. Every 2 weeks, break the intermittent fasting protocol at least once in order to stop your metabolism from slowing down. So just to give you that sort of refresh, eat either later into the evening or earlier in the day, get a good breakfast in just to spark things up, keep things flowing, and just make sure that metabolism doesn't slow down. So there you have the basics of intermittent fasting, including the benefits, including the potential downsides, and the how-to. Now, if this sounds like something that you could benefit from, give it a go, get in touch, let me know how it went, and as always, please like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more content. This has been the Nothing to Something podcast, and I'm Marc McLaren. Catch you soon.